show, but it's like pretty with it, I guess. Good morning, Grace. Okay, give me your best Ross. Where are we at? Tell me how you're doing. I'm gonna update attendance here one more time. Drop your number in the chat. How are we today? Embrace your inner Ross. Don't all jump at once. Give me a number. Ooh, we got a 12. Nice. Okay. 2 12s, great. So there's a lot there to think about, so don't, just make sure you're evaluating. Which Ross are you? Tell me how you are. Rapid number in the chat. Ooh, we're an 8. We're an 8. Okay. I can feel that. I can feel that. Great, great. Go ahead and drop that number in the chat so I know you're there. It's like a seance. So show me a sign of life. We got a 4s, 3s. Okay, okay. I can feel that. Saul, how you doing today? Oh, we got a 10. Okay. Nice. Hope Friends is one of my favorite shows. So if you, unfortunately, I think it's on HBO now. They took it off Netflix, I think, which is a very sad day. But okay. So this week, if you are feeling stressed about the SAT, or if you're like, oh my God, it's October and I'm feeling tired and stressed out, feel free to talk to me about that. If you need something, I want to make sure I can support all of you. So please let me know what you need this week as we're doing the things. So since it's a Monday, you get to decide. So we're going to do good news. So either drop something good news in the chat from the weekend, or a random fun fact, school appropriate, please. So take a moment, think about that, and drop it in the chat. Let's start the week on a positive note, if we can. And I also have my own good news that I'm going to share, but it's bird related, of course, but very exciting. Don't all jump at once. Any good news from you guys, or random fun facts? Yeah, great, great. Anyone at home want to start us out on a positive note? If not, Mrs. Smith's just going to talk about her birds, so that's good. Oh, we got something. All right. When giraffes bend over to drink, the main blood vessels to their head are cut off. But there is a reservoir in the back of their head, so they can still function. When standing up, they get a 10-second adrenaline rush. Ben, what source is this from? That is fairly interesting, and it's a very involved fact. Praying mantises have 5 eyes, 2 primary eyes, and 3 secondary eyes. From Aiden. Great. I would love to know your sources on this. I'm very into animals and things. Great. Well, if anyone else is typing, feel free to send it in the chat. But my good news this week, I went up north to the North Country, up by Stanwood, Michigan, and we were pulling in to my husband's grandpa's like driveway. He lives like way back in the woods, kind of by the Muskegon River. Great, Tessa, I'm glad you're well. And so we're pulling into the driveway, and there's like this big bird like circling in the field. And of course, like me and birds, that's a thing now. And it's a bald eagle, like it's like 10 feet above the ground, like circling a deer carcass. I'm sure you all want to know that on a Monday, but it was super cool. And I did get some pictures. I'll have to bring them, but that was my good news. So it's kind of like a birding bucket list thing, but yeah, so that's what I did. Barrel rolled out of the car and like threw my camera together, and I'm like taking pictures. So Anyway, very, very cool. Bald eagles are very large birds when you're that close. So fun fact. Okay, so let's take a peek. We've done a few things. We did the do now, we checked in. Gonna introduce the lesson today and then do some data collecting. This is chapter 3 officially. So these are our learning targets. Great, oh, thanks for letting me know, Tessa. What we're gonna, some of this will look familiar. So I've highlighted a few words, explanatory and response variable. If you've taken your fair share of science courses, that you might know that as independent, dependent. We're gonna talk about scatter plots, making them, describing them. We have a certain way we do that in stats, but we're just gonna kind of play with the numbers today and get rolling with things. So that's kind of what we're doing. So we're gonna talk about traveling. So as soon as the pandemic is over, it's safe to travel. Fitz was gonna travel to all the places this year. We're not doing that anymore because of the COVID, but where would you like to fly to? So I'll give you a second to think. We'll call on some people. As soon as the pandemic is over, if money's not an object, where would you want to go? Where would you hop on a jet plane and fly to? Lillian, do you mind unmuting yourself and telling us where you would go? Go ahead. Am I unmuted? I am unmuted. Ooh, yeah, Lillian, you're quiet again. I don't know. Might be your headphones, potentially. Ben, where would you go? We'll bounce to you. You're full of facts this morning. Where would you travel? Money's not an object. Where would you fly? As soon as the pandemic is over, mind unmuting yourself and telling us?
Katowice, Poland.
And why is that? That's an interesting destination.
That's I kind of want to go to a CS major just to experience it, and that's where they're mainly held.
What's a CS major?
Counter-Strike, the video game.
Oh, great. Thank you for clarifying. Wonderful. Okay, you're going overseas. Careful with the jet lag. Saul, where would you go? Money's no object. You can fly anywhere once this pandemic's over. Oh, you'd go to Mexico to see family. Fair. Lillian, if you bounce in and out of the meat, it might fix that. Ooh, Abby would go to Italy. Thank you for just throwing that out there. I feel that. Italy's great. I've been there a few times. Very, very lovely people. Great food. Greece, I love that. Greece is on my bucket list. That was going to be the 2022 plan, but I think we just bumped Peru back to the everything got bumped back this year. Okay. So we know where we'd want to go. Let's start thinking about it though, because we'd have to pay for it. So let's throw out a couple of ideas. What types of things would, Aiden's going to a different planet. Great. Oh, Erica agrees. You can go together to save some money. Okay, so what types of things would impact the cost of the trip? So let's brainstorm that. So if we did have to kind of pay for it, what might impact the cost? Jake, what do you think? Okay, so distance. So Greece, Poland might be, well, outer space is definitely more expensive, Space Force. Kai, what about you? What would impact the cost of the trip? What else? Yeah, they're starting to, you have to pay for bags now. So not to Europe. Oh, maybe to Europe. I don't know. Probably after the pandemic, we're all going to pay for bags. Checked baggage will not be free. So depending on how many bags you want to take, which could directly relate back to how far away you're traveling and maybe how long you're staying. Cool. All right. So let's brainstorm a little further. The heater's either haunted or it's going to explode. So I'm not sure. I'm going with haunted. Okay. So what type of data could I collect? So if I was going to start thinking about things that impact cost of a trip, what kind of data might I collect? Abby, what do you think? You could type or unmute. What would impact, or what kind of data would I collect in this scenario? Is there heat coming out of that thing? Is there no heat coming out? Ooh, Abby says, how many people are bored and wanted a trip. I like that. Yeah, we could collect the number of people traveling. Sure, maybe we're doing a group thing. Jake, what do you think? What kind of data would I collect? You said how far you travel might impact the cost. So what kind of data would that, what data would represent that?
How far away the places?
How far away the places? So maybe like the distance is what I'm hearing you say. Okay, Cheyenne, you can use the chat or unmute, whatever is easier. What do you think? What other data could I collect? I assume she's typing. Yeah, we would. Ooh, how much the plane ticket costs? So maybe we're gonna look at dollar amounts. Yeah, that's fair, right? Somebody's got to pay for it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at two different graphs. This is a dot plot. We've done this before. We're gonna go into scatter plots today. So this is an example just in general of a scatter plot. So what we want to think about is we're kind of going this way to explore this relationship. So we're kind of investigating what's going to impact kind of our travel cost and what's going to impact our trip. So we're moving away from a dot plot kind of situation where we just collect one thing. We're going to have to move into more of this kind of situation where we might collect multiple things to explore or investigate this idea. So what you're going to do is work in groups. There are 3 groups, only 1 submission per group. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Drop the link. I already dropped it. I just got to paste it. Am I dropping? All right, I'm going to drop this link. Hold on. This is going to be the link for your groups. You only need to submit 1 activity per group, okay? So you're gonna have 1 person kind of guide and read the questions. These are on your note sheet, and the activity is gonna basically, it's a digital version, so it's gonna compile your data, so you don't have to sketch it all out by hand. You can just kind of quickly get it together on a graph. So you're going to click the link I dropped. You can leave this meet and then go into your group. And I have linked the activity to a person's name as well. So you're gonna, so like Kai's got it linked to his name, Jake's got it linked, and Abby has it linked to her name. So I only need 1 per group. So you will have to kind of talk about like what places you want to go, and you can kind of divvy that up. But go ahead and get started. We'll regroup in about 15 minutes. So don't take forever to decide on places to travel, but we're going to regroup in 15. So go ahead and exit, bounce into your group. I don't debrief about our answers like we usually do. So I'm going to I took some screenshots of things. Now I will say Kai's group did a great job talking and collaborating. So since they were doing that, I didn't grab all their screenshots because they were doing a lot more talking about the things, which is totally fine. But all of our data is going to vary a little bit here, obviously, because you're traveling to different places. So these are, I just grabbed two of the groups with screenshots of their scatter plots and things. So let's see what you guys said. We are looking at two different variables. So I heard some good things. I like some of our answers here. So we have distance predicts cost because when you go further, you pay more. And same thing from the other group. Distance could determine cost because of gas mileage. So looking at those variables. Kai, do you mind sharing what your group thought for this one? Yeah.
We thought that the distance would predict cost.
Okay, so you're agreeing with what's already up here. Great. So we've got some good explanations. So distance essentially could relate to fuel costs, all of that. So those are good. The word I want you guys to circle or underline or draw your attention to is the word predict. We are all about predictions in chapter 3. That's going to be really important as we're moving through this. So what types of variables do we have? It looks like these two groups said quantitative. Ben, do you mind unmuting yourself and telling us how you came up with quantitative? Baby. Ben. Ben, all right, give us the sign of life. You're there.
Sorry, I'm doing other things. Sorry, what?
Could you tell us why you think for number 2 they're quantitative? Could you expand on that thought? Thank you.
Because distance is a number, and so is like the price.
Yeah, these are numbers. Okay, so you want to make sure we're always going to do in chapter 3 2 numbers. We're going to have 2 numbery variables. All right, so let's take a peek at 3 and 4 then. It looks like we have a consensus here. Maybe. No, we have it flipped. All right, so we think one group thinks we'd go on the y-axis with the distance, and the other group thinks distance would go on the x. So Abby, do you mind unmuting yourself and telling us why you think distance would go on the x?
Because it seems like it's the one that's affecting the cost.
Ooh, all right. So that's kind of what we want to think about. Mathematically, it wouldn't change if we flipped where these were, but the way to kind of think of this is, and I'm going to do some labeling here, whatever goes on the y-axis, that's your output. Whatever goes on the x-axis is kind of like your input. And Abby, I like what you said about one kind of like affects the other. So the y-axis is always your response. So if I'm investigating cost, the response I'm looking for in my flights is how much the flight's going to cost versus what thing am I controlling? Well, I'm controlling where I'm going. So this is the explanatory variable, or the explanatory, like goes on the x-axis. I like to think of it this way too. This variable, like this predicts that, is the phrase I always kind of say when I look at these. So this predicts that. So that's kind of how you can remember those things. Now, mathematically, again, like I said, if we switch them, it wouldn't really matter in terms of the relationship. But for terms of thinking of what predicts what, we'd want to go this way. And I am recording this, so if you miss writing something down, fear not, there's a recording. Okay, so let's take a look. We had some of our scatter plots. These are all going to look a little different because you're obviously all traveling to different places, because that's exciting. So this is one of the groups. I just kind of screenshotted it here. Let's go to kind of the last part here. I'll put them on, put both the pictures on and the descriptions. So we've got 2 very different graphs. Our data is pretty different. So here's what we want to look at. Jake, why'd you pick the word correlation? What is correlation? Do you mind sharing?
I thought that was Lillian.
Great. Lillian, do you mind sharing? Jake's deferring to you. If you can, I know you're having some tech issues. What's the word correlation? Can I get a bird? They kind of relate to each other. Okay, I like that. So a few other words I'm zeroing in on when we're describing this. Now, Abby and Ben's group, this is funky data. It's, you know, we're in the COVID times, so traveling is strange. So this data is a bit weird. We would actually probably say, once we're formalize this a little more, is there might not be a great relationship in yours. But Jake's is a nice one based on the places you guys picked, you happen to pick. This does appear to be positive, and it is kind of increasing. So here are some of the descriptors we'd want to highlight when we're doing a scatter plot. Is what direction is it going? So like, is it in Jake's case, it was positive. In Abby, Ben, Tessa, and Chris's case, it's a little bit scattered, but that happens. Form. So is it like a line? Is it not a line? And then our strength. And we'll kind of get into strength. You might be more familiar with direction. So that's kind of what we've got in terms of the scatter plot. So, and we're going to get all sorts of scatter plots. So we're just going to get comfortable with what goes where right now. Wrong slide. Oh my God. What goes where right now, and how to describe it. So this is kind of what we want to look at. So you've got about 2 minutes. These are kind of our main ideas. This sentence at the bottom that you're going to want to write in your important ideas box, this is a magical sentence that will get you all of the points when you're describing a scatter plot. So we're going to describe them a little different than we did back in chapter 1 with SOCs. So we're looking at strength, if it's positive or negative, if it's a line or not. We're mostly going to focus on kind of linear data in this section. And then the other thing is an unusual feature. So if you've got any wacky points, I've got an example kind of sketched here. That's kind of what that would look like. So that's an introduction for today. We're going to explore some things a little further on Wednesday. And then Thursday, you'll have a chance to practice some of this stuff. So that is 3.1, making and describing a scatter plot. So thank you for participating today. This is recorded and will be linked on the Week at a Glance. So if you've missed something or want to go back, you do have that option. So feel free, take advantage of that. And good luck on the SAT tomorrow as we're winding down.